You know, Coach told us before the season started that their motto going into the season was real knows real, and those 22 seniors
had a couple of carries of 10+ yards earlier in this quarter, and McGuire makes the stop there at the line of scrimmage.
And Manny Quiles, multiple sport athlete at LaSalle, 5'8", 185-pound running back and defensive back for the football team here. Very shifty, and we're going to see a lot of him today.
That's the end of the first quarter. Malvern in the lead, 13-7. We'll step aside for a moment. The second quarter is coming up. You're watching SFBN's presentation of Malvern Prep football. Malvern Prep in the lead as we get set to start the second quarter from the Pellegrini Athletic Complex. Let's bring the third member of our broadcast team in. That's Chris Markowitz. And Chris, we were very pleased to hear no injuries from Coach Dave Guerrero, but that doesn't mean no absences for this game.
No, it does not, Kevin. Quincy Watson out again today for Malvern Prep, so we'll see who gets the bulk of the carries today at running back. Last week it was Nicholas Guerrera, 10 carries for 103 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's been impressive early in the season, so we'll see what they do at that back position. Back to you guys, Kevin.
Well, Daly's going to keep it himself on the option. He's going to get thrown to the ground by Keith McGuire to about the 26-yard line. That'll bring up third down. And third down is that money down, as we talked about last week in the Roman game for Malvern Prep. This McGuire and Stinger combined on the stop there. And Malvern Prep has been very successful today on third downs.
It's great, Kevin. We even see people in the stands and on the field with signs with the big dollar sign that say money down.
LaSalle has yet to convert on third down. The touchdown play they had was the first play of the game. Daly, play action, left side. He'll stop. Guerrera giving chase. And Guerrera wraps him up. Great job by the linebacker to spy in that situation and stay with the quarterback to bring up fourth down.
LaSalle now 0 for 4 on third downs. Malvern Prep 1 for 3.
And so Lonnie White ready for a chance to get the ball back. And something that you talked about during the break, Mike, is Malvern beating Malvern, that quote from Coach Dave Guerrero. And we saw that early on in this game as we got another penalty flag at the snap. And that was the bobbled punt back to Costantini, who's back in the game, and it gave LaSalle good field position. Thankfully, the defense bailed them out. LaSalle couldn't do anything about it. But that's what last week started with, was some early mistakes. And then once Malvern figured it out, man, they became the team that all of us have been expecting and the team that I guess you would say they'd be on paper.
And, Kevin, our audience is going to hear us say that over and over and over again because that's what the players are hearing over and over and over again. Malvern has to stop beating Malvern.
Lonnie White muscled down at the 50-yard line. Best starting field position for the Friars today. And penalty-wise, Malvern, I don't know if they have any. They may have had one unsportsmanlike earlier after the touchdown. Okay.
After a point after touchdown, there was one unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that moved the. Other than that, it's been a relatively laundry-free first quarter plus.
LaSalle has 3 penalties so far, but that was going back to last week where Malvern played a very disciplined game, not a lot of penalties against Roman in Wildwood. 10:28 to go in the half, 13-7 Friars. Their first offensive possession of quarter 2. Gunther calling signals. He's been going to Icone a lot. Oh, he's hitting the backfield. Big stop on the play by Abdul Carter, one of the freshmen for this LaSalle squad, one of 7 freshmen on the roster.
And that was quite a shot there to the back of Drew Gunther by a freshman. Brought some ferociousness with that stick.
6-yard loss.
A sack and a loss of 6, and maybe a loss of a tooth or two for Drew Gunther. We hope not.
Trips to the near side for Gunther on 2nd down. Handoff going up the middle. It's Guerrera. Nice job bouncing it outside the tackle for a couple of yards, closer to the original line of scrimmage. And the tackle made on the far side by Dylan Traynor, the junior linebacker.
Guerrera gets that 185 to 190 going upfield, and he's tough to bring down, no question about it.
Coach's nephew, actually an outstanding wrestler for this Malvern Prep Fire squad as a football makes its way onto the field. Can't have 2 footballs on the field and still play at the same time.
Interesting, we actually had the kicker for Malvern Prep, Sebastian Constantini, practicing punts over here on the sideline, and literally punted the ball through his practice net, and it wound up on the field.
Well, Coach Guerrero said he had a Division I leg, so either the net needs some work or he's right. I'd go with the latter as Gunther fires on 3rd down, and great pass coverage on the play by Rob Tatum, looking for McGuire on the play near the sideline.
Looked like Tatum may have had a hand on the back of McGuire, but not enough to disrupt McGuire's progress, and other hand reached around, knocked that pass away.
It'll be the second 3-and-out for the Malvern offense after scoring on their last 2 possessions. 7 plays, 67 yards at the 6:43 mark of the first quarter. McGuire 1-yard run, and then 4 plays, 70 yards at the 3:32 mark of the first, a 56-yard pass as a fair catch is called for and taken inside the 20 by Luke Hardy.
And that was a 33-yard punt by Constantini, but booming height. No return as LaSalle had to call for the fair catch, and a great job by Malvern Prep of, if you're not going to be able to convert the 3rd down, at least flip the field. And something that you hear a lot in the NFL where if the teams aren't able to convert 3rd downs, at the very least what they want to do is they want to flip the field. Get teams playing with their backs in the shadow of their own goalposts. And
that was one of the problems in the first quarter last week where Roman outscored Malvern 10-0 is the opposing field position. They did not win that battle. They gave the Cahillites a lot of good starting territory early on in that game and then settled down as Keylace making some moves in the open field, but not enough to elude the tackle on the play by Cade Zostic.
And it's a good thing that Zostic got there, because if he didn't, Keylace had at least 15 to 20 more yards in front of him.
That is the second first down of the game for the Explorers. What do you like about Keylace and his running style?
Quick, very quick, explosive. Short, choppy steps that then break into very long, fast strides. Very powerful runner.
Had not gotten a lot of carries this season. First carries of the season actually coming today, as it's Daly. Great pump fake, and he continues to run outside the numbers. Still eluding tacklers, and going to be about a yard short of the first down.
It's going to be close.
And that was McGuire who ran him down for the Friars. Yep, it is a 9-yard gain, so 1 yard to go on 2nd down. And Daly, again, as we mentioned, not the starting quarterback to open the season for this squad. It was Jack Machida, who was 31 of 66 for 277. He got hurt, and now Daly, one of those leaders on this squad, a wide receiver and safety, he has stepped in at quarterback, and he brings a little bit of a running threat as we've seen so far today. Handoff up the middle, churning through left guard, and enough for the first down for the Explorers.
What's interesting when you talk about Daly, I mean, Machida was the quarterback, and as you said, that, you know, it was basically Daly and Jalen DeVos that were carrying the bulk of, or getting the bulk of the carries on the ground. This week it's Keylace. Machida was the quarterback, and now Daly slides back under center.
Daly's going to roll to his right. Now he looks back left. Now he's being chased from behind, and he's knocked down. First man there was Harry Stinger for the Friars. That gang tackling philosophy served them well last week. Really quick to the football.
And Stinger was one of the guys that Coach Guerrera told us was going to be one of the players to watch this season for Malvern Prep, and a nice pursuit play there.
Along with Nick Guerrera, Coach Guerrera said that Stinger was one of those lunch pail guys, an achiever in the weight room and the classroom as well, but very physical on the football field. And a nice physical hit there from Stinger as the play action once again unveiled by the Explorers. And another big booming hit. The first contact made by McGuire, and then Leach came and finished off Liam Tatlingari.
Tatlinari is a big ball carrier, 5'11", 210 pounds. McGuire and Leach, as you said, they did a real good job of setting him up and finishing him off.
Timeout taken by LaSalle as they're about to set up play number 6 of their drive. 6:13 to go in the first half, 13-7. Malvern Prep in the lead. They gave up the first touchdown of the game on the game's first play. Took about 16 seconds on an 80-yard bomb from Daly to Diarra, the first touchdown of Daly's season. And then Malvern responded fairly well after a bobbled punt, and they were able to put together 2 scoring drives.
And Kevin, it's going to be really important for Malvern to play well today, and hopefully they can keep the momentum in their favor and ride this through to a victory. But if you look at the upcoming schedule for Malvern, I mean, they're at McDonough, who beat them last year 27-9. They then host Berks Catholic, a new opponent with a 6-year record of 63-9. They then host Petty, who beat Malvern in a shootout last year, 43-36. Coach Guerrera told us that Petty is basically like a JUCO program, so real important for Malvern to keep the momentum going today.
Of course, Interact champs last year, but they want to clean up that early season. That's been a theme of many of the quotes from the players and coaches alike, is Daly running away from traffic very well, being chased by Turley, gets it down the field, hits Keelace, who's rocked by Leach, and it's incomplete. It was complete for a second, but not anymore. And there's that money down situation. The defense comes up big with that huge hit from Leach.
Yeah, John Turley was in hot pursuit of Daly in the backfield. Daly managed to get away and get the pass off, and as you said, Leach just with a bone-jarring hit to knock the ball out.
Usually is the defensive specialist, guards the other team's best player on the basketball court, and he loves doing that, as he has told his coaches and staff. Lonnie White calls for a fair catch. He'll take it inside the 10. They may spot it at the 10 for the Malvern offense. A
booming punt there by Jake Gandolfo for the LaSalle side. And interesting, it looks like we're going to have a potential battle of the D1 leg strength kickers and punters here today.
1st and 10 for the Friars. We've seen a little bit of everything involved so far. Drew Gunther, the senior quarterback from Chester Springs, he has said it's like playing Madden with everyone out there. Keith McGuire going on phase, Ty G, or Quincy, who's not playing but is dressed today.
Well, he does certainly have some weapons at his disposal.
He has used most of them. Iacone has gotten a lot of short action. Ryan McGuire with a 42-yard catch to set up a touchdown early on. Leach with a long bomb touchdown. Now run up the middle. A flag on the field. Guerrera with the carry.
I believe we may have a neutral zone infraction, but let's wait for the call here.
I like how you're so polite waiting for the call. Is that suspense to set yourself up so you can pat yourself on the back later?
No setup, but it does look like we're going to get a procedure penalty against Malvern Prep rather than the neutral zone infraction. Typically, when the side judge or the head linesman tosses their flag to the defensive side of the line of scrimmage, the penalty is on the defense. In this case, not so.
So 1st and 15 for Malvern. Second penalty on the day for the Friars. They'll set up around their own goal line. This, without a doubt, is the worst starting field position for Malvern, who started on the 50-yard line last drive. Handoff for Guerrera, spins away from 2 tacklers and cannot evade the white shirts as he gets back across the 10-yard line. TJ Meacham, the junior defensive back, was underneath the pile there. So gave his offense a little bit of breathing room on the 3-yard gain, 2nd and 12.
Looks like they're just shy of the 10-yard line here.
And Gunther throws that one off a foot of a player. He might have been looking for Iacone there on the crossing route.
Interesting to see what happens here, because if that hit number 57 for Malvern, the big offensive tackle, Will Redden, if that hit him on the fly, it's at the official's discretion on whether he wants to call that an ineligible receiver and throw a flag on that, or just understand that they were trying to get rid of the ball and avoid the sack there.
William Carlini, the senior, in the game in the slot to the near side of the field, along with Lonnie White, who's split out wide. Gunther, straight drop, looking down the left side, had some pressure, looking for White, a little bit too long, and incomplete.
Lonnie was open. He beat Frank Joyce up the seam and looked like Drew just had to get rid of it a second sooner than he would have liked as pressure was coming, and unfortunately didn't get enough air under it to allow Lonnie to run under it.
Very comfortable pocket presence there, though.
No question.
Sometimes these quarterbacks have eyes on the back of their head. I don't know how they feel it. And so Costantini will get set to punt. In June, he competed in the New Balance High School Championships in Greensboro, North Carolina, one of the top decathletes in the nation. That punt goes out of bounds. Very short punt.
Yeah, LaSalle brought pressure. They brought a lot of pressure, and Sev was trying to get that out of there in a hurry, and unfortunately, it looked like he may have gotten it off the side of his foot a little bit, and officials are marking it out of bounds inside of the 27, almost the 26-yard line, so a very short field for LaSalle here.
Costantini, one of the players who were injured and did not suit up to start the season last week. Coach excited to have him back again with his powerful leg. So LaSalle will enjoy their best starting field position with Daly. Handoff going to Keylace. Got some room outside the tackle. Good blocks along the side. Now he's trying to bounce it back inside the 10. And he's muscled down at about the 5-yard line on the far side of the field.
But Kevin, you said it. Good blocks out there. And the wide receiver, Luke Hardy, 6'2", 170-pound senior, with an excellent block on Cade Zostic and sprung Keylace to the outside. You called it, and you couldn't have been more on top of that one. Great block.
First and goal to go. Setting up shop from the 8 of Malvern. Back to Keylace, up the gut, and he's going to walk in. 8-yard touchdown run, first of the season for Keylace, and LaSalle is ever closer here. Chance to go on top with the extra point.
Great cutback by Keylace at the line of scrimmage. Looked like the play was supposed to start to the left A-gap. Instead, he cut it back to the right. Very patient, went right around the end, and as you said, virtually walked in.
Two plays, 21 yards for LaSalle in less than a minute. And the extra point is good. So the Explorers take their second lead of the ball game, 14-13, with 4:47 left in the half. And again, that comes down to the field position you were talking about, trying to flip that field.
Yeah, when you can go 26 yards in 2 plays and put 7 points on the board, it makes life a lot easier. However, the one thing it doesn't do is doesn't give your defense a chance to get much rest. So let's see if Drew Gunther and the Malvern Prep offense could take advantage of that and use this final 4:47 before the half to get some additional points on the board.
Are you seeing anything that Malvern can exploit? It looks like we saw last week with Roman that they started to use the wheel routes, the deep routes more, and Iacone got going. And we saw them look Lonnie White's way a little bit earlier. Is that something that we may see with the mismatches on the outside?
It's very possible. The one thing that I'm seeing from the LaSalle defense is some soft spots in the zone, specifically up the seams, right up the hash marks. It looks like they tried to pick on it a little bit, and if they come back to it, I'm certain that it'll be there.
This game is the game of the week for the Philadelphia Eagles, as they've got some members in attendance filming this one. And they announced before the game the winning coach has a chance to be named the Coach of the Year by the Eagles as they attend different high school events, different football games throughout the season. As Lonnie White bringing it out and using his blockers very well across the 25 and just shy of the 30. He's pounded down into the turf.
And as you're watching this game on social media, if you hit the hashtag Eagles Showdown, you'll be able to catch all of the Eagles Showdowns.
29-yard line. First and 10 for your Friars.
So 4:38 left in the second quarter from the 29. See what they do. It's been a nice mix of run and pass for Malvern Prep out of that spread look. They like to go fast. Fast physical football. That's what Dave Guerrero said when he came here.
I'd be working Ryan Iacone here in the left slot.
In his second season is Guerrero. That one off of Tinson and intercepted. No, incomplete. Oh, no, it is an interception. Okay. I thought the player on the ground was knocking his head that he missed it, but it was intercepted.
Oh, unfortunately, that one came out hot, went right through Tyler Tinson's hands, as you said, and number 23, TJ Meacham, the junior defensive back for LaSalle College, off of Tinson right into Meacham's hands, and LaSalle is in business again at the Malvern Prep 33-yard line.
That is the second interception this season for Gunther. And once again, the field position not flipped far enough. Sal started on the 25 last drive of Malvern. That time, good job by the defense. Dollar was one of the players there, along with the D-line, to make the stop after a gain of 2.
And unfortunately, Kevin, there's not much that Gunther could have done about that one. The ball was on the money where it needed to be. Unfortunately, Tyler Tinson just had to go right through his hands, and when the ball goes through the receiver's hands, you want it to go to the ground. Unfortunately, that one got a little bit of airtime, and Meacham came in and snagged it before it hit the turf.
And not the quarterback's fault there.
Certainly not.
Play action again. LaSalle's been working this a lot. Daly going long and too far for Luke Hardy, the intended receiver.
Nice coverage there by Cade Zostic. Zostic was running stride for stride with Hardy and didn't really give Daly anything to throw to.
They got a lot of practice, those outside D-backs. The corners last week, at least in the first half, Roman was going to the air a little bit, and Hayes in particular, along with Zostic, really great one-on-one coverage. Hayes had some great coverage earlier on the 6'6 Diarra to deny yet another long bomb in the first quarter.
Diarra is now split to the near side. Let's see if they try to go up top to him.
Fake the quick out. Now it's Daly using his legs. Fumble, and Hayes on top of it. Malvern's got the football back. So they turn it over, and they get it right back. Good job by the defense.
Interesting, Kevin, that I was just pointing out that Diarra was split wide to the near side. He was matched up one-on-one with James Hayes, the defensive back, junior out of Phoenixville. And as the play unfolded, the ball hit the turf, and it was Hayes who wound up leaving Diarra and coming up and making that fumble recovery.
Good instincts there. From the 25 of the Friars with 3:40 to play in the first half. Malvern scored 2 straight touchdowns and then an 2-play drive. Let LaSalle take the lead. Lonnie White in space, and he's dangerous there just about midfield where he's wrapped up by Frank Joyce. And Malvern had a 3-and-out and that interception. So that is going to give them a little bit of life on the offense.
Oh, and you hit the nail on the head with that one. Lonnie in space is a dangerous, dangerous thing for defenses. Let's see if they can go back to some more isolation and work the ball down the field to Lonnie.
White, 2 receptions for 32 yards last week against Roman. It's Iacone. Nice job with the blocking. He follows it well. Iacone first down and more. 30, 25, 20. He is gone. Ryan Iacone, another long touchdown.
There was one guy who had a shot at him. It was Jordan Heaton. Heaton met with him at around the 5-yard line, reached for an ankle, couldn't get it, and Iacone takes it to the house.
52 yards from Gunther to Iacone. 35-second drive in 2 plays, and just like that, the Friars on top.
Well, you want to talk about some quick strike offense today, Kevin? We've seen it.
Both sides. Iacone 3 catches for 89 yards, including a long touchdown. Had a 50-yard catch in that game.
And it looks like the Friars are going to go for 2 here and try to get that back to a 7-point margin.
Recoup that missed extra point earlier after the second touchdown. Play action for Gunther. He fires on the slant and hits the intended target, Keith McGuire, and the 2-point conversion is good.
Need to get some points on the board in some tight space. You go to your stud, McGuire. Conversion is good. And you want to talk about some sure hands on the offensive side of the ball with McGuire. We at SFBN were fortunate enough to have the call last year against the Haverford School where McGuire went up and made a one-handed catch that eventually found its way into ESPN SportsCenter's top 10 for that day. And I think the legend of Keith McGuire, if you will, has just continued to grow from there.
Well, Coach Dave Guerrero says McGuire, no question, the best two-way player in the state, and Keith McGuire said that he likes offense. It's fun, but playing defense is a little more exciting.
Do we do the air quotes around fun on that one? It's
maybe.
Fun.
And he's good, obviously, at both, but he has been recruited to play linebackers we've talked about at Clemson.
And Clemson will definitely be getting a good one there for sure.
So Malvern will kick off. We had a couple of lead changes today. 7-0 Explorer lead and then 2 touchdowns from Malvern. LaSalle went back on top, and now it's Malvern continuing the seesaw battle. Keylace on the return and stopped at the 15-yard line. Big tackle on the play. Mitchell Zingani, the 6', 210-pound junior out of Westchester.
And Zingani showed some great speed getting down the field and making an excellent open field tackle.
And so back on defense go the Friars. Really, if you think about it, field position has handcuffed the defense more than anything this season. In that Roman game in the first quarter, the 10 points they scored, and with the exception of the 80-yard bomb that they gave up for a touchdown on the first play of the game, the Malvern defense has done a pretty good job.
Malvern, even Coach told us before the season that there will be a lot of bend but don't break, but it's real difficult not to break when you're playing with your backs against the wall.
Handoff up the middle. LaSalle fumbled on their previous offensive drive. That led to the Malvern score you just saw. And still churning up toward the first down, carrying all the white and blue shirts together.
A rugby scrum. That is a tough 12-yard run by Manny Keylace. Or Manny Keylace in the LaSalle offensive line.
I was trying to figure out who to credit that tackle to. I was going to give it to Zostek, but I might as well just give it to the entire defense of Malvern Prep.
I think the rugby scrum just kind of fell on Keylace, and that was it.
Well, Keylace showing he has some power to go along with the speed in his first time as a starting running back in this season. Now Daly looking to his right. Good coverage from Dollar, still trying to find something. And he does. He gets a reception to Jalen DeVos, and DeVos is upended by Taiji Leach, but a first down for LaSalle. How was he able to find something in Daly there? Looked like he was just going to throw that one away and live for the next play.
No, it was interesting. Daly rolled out to the right. He was looking for Khalil Diarra. Diarra was blanketed and essentially ran out of bounds and took himself out of the play. When he did that, it appeared that the Malvern Prep defenders followed him out of bounds, and the receiver sat down in a soft spot in the zone. Daly found him, and they picked up the first down.
After 2 first downs for LaSalle into that 2-minute drill, here's Daly on the QB keeper. He's not going to get any more than 1 yard. That's what Keith McGuire said. Nice tackle by a man who had 101 of those last season. On his way to Interac MVP and other honors.
Well, you touched on it just a minute ago, Kevin. Offense is fun, but defense is where McGuire has the bread buttered, if you will.
Great senior leadership. 22 or so seniors on this team. McGuire, one of those. As Daly getting outside, contain again. And he's got a first down and more, spinning, but Leach is going to wrestle him down to the ground into Friar territory.
Great block out there by Jalen DeVos, the junior wide receiver. wide receiver running back for LaSalle, engaged the defensive back, and Daly just went right off of his left shoulder and got around the corner and picked up an extra 10 yards.
Friars gave up an average of 3 yards a carry last week against Roman, 35 carries for 101 yards. They only allowed 22-yard passing on 6 completions. And most of the damage done here, at least of late by LaSalle, has been on the ground. 1st and 10 with 1:13 to go in the second quarter for the Explorers. Daly looking on a throwback. He will have Keylace, and Dollar's going to force him out of bounds near the line of scrimmage to bring up 2nd down.
Yeah, very well scouted, well anticipated play there by the Malvern Prep defense. As you said, Daly sprinted out to his right, stopped, turned around, was going to throw the throwback crossfield screen, and Malvern didn't bite.
Great job by Dowler, also Zostic, Leach, Hayes today. Hayes actually has 2 turnovers on the season. He had a interception last week, and now he's got a fumble recovery, which was key early on to flip the field position and lead to a touchdown. The Friars are going to take a timeout with 1:04 to play in the quarter. They do have 1 remaining, if our count is correct. Try to get the ball back, get a stop.
Yeah, Coach Guerrera definitely saw something in the defensive alignment that he didn't like, and they immediately called for the timeout.
Malvern Prep 1-0 this season against an 0-2 LaSalle team that we mentioned. It was almost a new squad. That's what a lot of the players said, but they still had a number of seniors returning, did the Explorers. 22 seniors on this LaSalle College High School program. And Daly, he's one of those defensive back leaders. He said everybody's going to step up, give everything we've got. We've got guys fighting for every spot. I mean, they had position battles almost everywhere for LaSalle, and it almost a completely different squad than the team that beat Malvern pretty handily last season.
And no question about it. And it's interesting to see the way that LaSalle is executing their offense with a new quarterback. I mean, certainly you would have thought that with a new quarterback, LaSalle may be more inclined to keep the ball on the ground, but they're putting it in the air quite a bit.
6 play of the drive. Daly going to the air again. Reception made. Close to another 1st down. Dowler and Hayes shepherding the receiver, Justin Machida, the sophomore, out of bounds.
It's the younger brother of the injured quarterback, Jack Machida.
4 first downs on this drive for LaSalle.
Now that we're inside of a minute to go here in the first half, Kevin, be interesting to see if LaSalle tries to milk some of the clock now that they're inside of the 30-yard line, or if they're just going to continue to pound away and go for the end zone.
Malvern will get the ball first to open up the second half, but they got to make sure to clean things up and not allow any points to close the first half. Daly being chased out of bounds. He'll just shovel it out. Nice pursuit to Amir Brown.
Smart play by Daly there. How many times do you see even an NFL level or a college level quarterback run out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage and essentially take a sack, where you see Daly, who not only is he a high school quarterback, he's a receiver who is playing quarterback. Rather than take the sack, he just shuffles that ball out of bounds, and they live to fight another day.
48 seconds left in the second quarter. 2nd down and 10 for LaSalle. LaSalle took the lead a little bit earlier in the half, around the 5-minute mark of this second quarter. They were up 14-13, and then a 52-yard bomb to Iacone.
Interesting that even though he was out of the pocket and on the run towards the sideline, the officials have called an intentional grounding call on LaSalle.
After the loss of down, it is 2nd.
Alrighty, loss of down.
And the LaSalle coaching staff now discussing that with the officials. And it's basically 5 yards from where the quarterback released the ball.
That would make it 2nd and 20.
And a loss of down, which right now makes it 2nd and 20, but see what we have here.
John Steinmetz, the head coach of LaSalle. All right, so they're going to continue playing.
Looks like the call is going to stand.
Shoveled it out of bounds. Daly will set up. He's got an open target. He finds the target and then wrestled down by Iacone. Good tackle after a gain of about 5.
It's Machida again.
The younger Machida, of course. We don't have to worry about the older, who is out for the game. As a timeout called by LaSalle on a 3rd and 15 situation with 39 seconds left in the quarter.
And Kevin, I got to tell you, I'm a bit baffled by that call. I've never seen an official call an intentional grounding on a quarterback when he tosses the ball out of bounds to avoid a sack in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 potential receivers, unless what they're saying is that the ball did not reach the line of scrimmage before it went out of bounds.
Which might have been the case because it wasn't a full throw. It was
correct.
more of a toss.
You can throw the ball out of bounds, but it has to cross the line of scrimmage.
Oh, we didn't see a lot of arguing after the explanation, so maybe that is exactly what Coach Steinmetz was delivered. So now it's down to that money down. The Malvern defense has some time as well to set things up here. And as we've talked about, they've done a pretty good job through the air. And as you watch the Eagles, the famous sticks defense where you don't allow anyone past you, and they did a very good job of that in the Atlanta game. Of course, between the 20s, maybe not so much, but when it came down to the red zone and the goal line, they really stood strong. Malvern is looking to do just that, keep the Explorers out of the end zone. Keelace is the target, gets by 1 tackle, and then McGuire stomps him down at the 25-yard line with the clock running here.
Interesting to see if they just run the clock down and call a timeout and attempt a field goal. Looks like they are running their kicker, Gandolfo, onto the field. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to let that clock run down and kick a field goal here.
Gavin Daly set to hold, 7 seconds left. And we've got a stoppage on the field. A timeout for LaSalle, so they had that timeout, I guess.
As expected.
Yes, they made it very tenuous and tense there in that situation. Almost looked like they were going to go for a fire drill field goal. But
they certainly did.
So they'll have some time to talk about it.
Well, this will be interesting, Kevin, because this is a ball was spotted at the 25 with the snap. It'll be the 32. It'll be a 42-yard attempt into the wind. We do know that Gandolfo has an extremely strong leg.
He's made 3 field goals this season so far for LaSalle.
Number 38, Jake Gandolfo, attempting the...
And it looks like the wind is shifting a bit, actually blowing directly at us, so he's got a bit of a crosswind. He is kicking from the right hash, so the wind will push it in his direction. He's going to have to go right in there.
And the kick is good.
And you could see the ball moving in the air. It looked like Gandolfo started it towards the left upright, and it came back right up the middle, splits the uprights, and as the first half clock expires, LaSalle leads with 3 more.
21-17, Malvern Prep, back and forth we've gone, and we'll see if that continues in the second half. We will step aside. You're watching SFBN's presentation of Malvern Prep football.
Back at Quigley Field, let's throw it down to the third member of our broadcast crew, Chris Markowitz, who's standing by with Coach Guerrera.
Thanks, Kevin. Coach, first play of the game, an 80-yard touchdown score for LaSalle. 16 seconds into it, you were down 7-0, but a 21-10 run since then. What did you tell your team in that first quarter to get them back into the game?
Well, we just had to settle down here a little bit and let the game come to us, and we had to wake up. Really, that was just a wake-up call for us, and we were able to settle down here. But LaSalle's a very good football team, and we got our hands full here in the second half. We got to continue to not make any mistakes and just play good Malvern football.
Thanks, Coach. Back to you guys, Kevin.
Alrighty, we're set for the second half. 21-17. Let's recap what we saw scoring-wise real quick. And it didn't take long to get our first score of the game. 1 play, 16 seconds, 80 yards. The first play of the drive, pass from Daly to Diarra. It was a touchdown, and the kick was good, 7-0 LaSalle College.
2 drives later, it was Malvern Prep. They put together a 7-play, 67-yard drive. Keith McGuire capped it off with a 1-yard run. That touchdown was set up by his brother, Ryan McGuire, on a 42-yard reception. That was at the 6:43 mark. We were all tied at 7. And then Malvern took the lead with a 56-yard touchdown pass from Gunther to Taji Leach to make it 13-7 after the extra point was no good. 4 plays, 70 yards on that one. We headed to the second quarter. Took us a couple of drives before we saw our first run to pay dirt, and it was a touchdown for LaSalle. 8-yard run by Keylace, and the kick was good. 2 plays, 21 yards, 47 seconds. 14-13 was the score at that point. But then Hayes recovered a key fumble after an interception thrown by Gunther, and that put Malvern in business with about 3:40 to go in the half. And Malvern scored 2 plays later on a 52-yard pass from Gunther to Iacone. The 2-point conversion was good to Keith McGuire, so 2 plays, 75 yards in 35 seconds. That made it 21-14. And then LaSalle put together a nice drive to close the half, a 9-play drive featuring 5 first downs, a 42-yard field goal made by Gandolfo, and that's where we stand now, 21-17. In terms of keys to the second half for Malvern, Mike, what are you seeing?
Well, Kevin, considering that LaSalle had 7 points on the board before most of the Malvern Prep fans were in their seats at the start of the first half, I think for Malvern, what they have to do is they need to come out, establish the ground game in the second half, run some clock, control the tempo, control the pace, keep LaSalle off the scoreboard, especially keep them away from those quick strikes.
And it's interesting because Malvern is that quick strike type offense. They like the pace. They had a number of scoring drives against Roman that were 5 plays or less, but they do have the capability to run some clock with guys like McGuire and Guerrero.
Oh, no question about it. And, it becomes a situation where you have to kind of work the opponent. You mentioned that Malvern is a quick strike offense. LaSalle is also a quick strike offense. So the way for Malvern to combat that quick strike offense of LaSalle is to control the pace themselves. And Coach Guerrero has told us several times that even though they do run a fast RPO type of offense, they can definitely slow it down and grind the clock when they want to, and I think today they're going to have to.
In this matchup, Malvern and LaSalle. LaSalle is 5-8-0 all time, including a win last season. Malvern trying to extract some revenge, a 45-21 loss at the hands of LaSalle College High School last season. That was the second game of the season, and again, Malvern started 1-4 before going 5-0 to finish off the slate and win the Interac, and they're trying to set the tone early.
And what's crazy about this whole scenario today is, we expected to see Machida at quarterback, and instead we got Sean Daly. Last year in this same matchup, in his first varsity start for LaSalle, Danny Selecki threw for 327 yards and 4 touchdowns, just 2 yards shy of the Philadelphia Catholic League record for yardage in a first start, held by Tom McNeely of St. James back in 1984.
Lonnie White brought it out of the end zone. Good decision for him as he takes it to the 40-yard line and then some, where he's knocked out of bounds by Frank Joyce after a return of about 42 yards.
And great field position to start the second half for the Friars.
Thanks for joining us for this broadcast on SFBN, brought to you by Granite Run Buick GMC. And Drew Gunther is out there to get things started. It's been a little bit of a mix of run and pass for Malvern with their offensive success today. LaSalle, they had that one long bomb to start things off, but they've done a lot more damage on the ground, especially with Daly with his legs, with the play action and the quarterback keepers. It's again that spread look. It is Guerrera to the left of Gunther to get things started in the second half. And off to the gut of Guerrera. And Nick Guerrera skates to about 1 or 2 yard gain.
Number 4, gain of 1. Second and 9.
11:30 now to go in the third quarter, 21-17. Malvern in the lead. Their second play of this quarter if you're just joining us, so you haven't missed much.
And it's Guerrera again to about the 45-yard line.
Up the middle.
So I think Coach Guerrera and his staff may have agreed with your assessment of trying to churn some clock. And the running game was successful last week, of course, so why not go to it, as Nick Guerrera had 3 scores on 10 carries and 103 yards against the Cahillites.
3rd and 6.
Here's that money down.
And Malvern Prep has the ability to be real physical up front, but it's on the running plays, it's the offensive line that's doing the beating up. On pass plays, they're the ones on their heels. So let's get that big physical offensive line moving forward.
Play action, low throw, looking for Keith McGuire. In coverage there was Brendan Frusco, one of the seniors for LaSalle College High School. You've been tracking third downs. I know Malvern does a lot of tracking third downs. What do you have here so far?
LaSalle is actually 0 for 6 on third down. Malvern not much better, though, 1 for 6.
Constantini will be punting.
That said, the fact that we've only seen 12 third downs in the entire first half plus. A lot of conversions early in the series.
Luke Hardy drops the football, and it's recovered by Malvern Prep. And that is Kellen Mathias, the sophomore out of Boyertown. That's the second turnover. Oh, we got a flag afterward, but it's the second turnover generated by the Malvern Prep D today.
And let's wait and see what this call is, Kevin, because I'm afraid that they're going to say that this was catch interference. No, I guess not. The referee is signaling first down for Malvern. I'm sure if you're going to get
a sideline warning.
Sideline warning? Okay.
Yes. And it's kind of funny because Coach Guerrera, you were on that conference call before the season, he was talking about the DePaul preseason game. He said he got flagged for a penalty because he was running down the sideline, so happy that he got onto the field on a touchdown play, and it was a sideline warning at the time, so very fortunate in that.
But a big play there, and again, we've talked about multiple times today with turnovers and flipping the field. Well, a great punt, high booming spiral punt by Constantini. Hardy has trouble securing the ball, and ouch. Malvern Prep is in business. Gunther immediately, though, dropped.
Ryan Savage
again on the first play after the turnover.
Loss of about 6, back to the 31, so second down. And 16 or so to go for Gunther and company. That'll help for the LaSalle defense. Gunther again looking right. He stays with it. And we've got a reception again. It's Iacone trying to find some space. He's spun down almost the 20-yard line by Dylan Traynor, the junior. And Trainor's older brother Liam is now at Delaware, and he's trying to be one of the leaders as the junior for LaSalle. Again, a team that was not bringing back very many starters into this season. Money down situation again. 3rd down and 7 for the Friars.
Outstanding play call there by Coach Guerrera to pick up some chunk yardage there and put this in a much more manageable 3rd down and distance.
From the 22 on a slant, it's McGuire, who is drilled to the turf at the 10-yard line by, again, Dylan Traynor.
We talked about it in the first half. When you need to convert in short yardage, you go to the man with the hands, and that's McGuire. It's good for a Malvern first down.
First time they've looked at him in terms of a receiver this season. For his catch, a fade route again into the back of the end zone. It's McGuire. Touchdown, Malvern Prep. Hey, where have we seen something like that before, Mike?
I was going to say, Kevin, I feel like I'm having deja vu here. The only difference between last year and this year is that last year McGuire went up and snagged it with one hand. This year he goes up and he takes it away with both.
The Mathias fumble recovery was huge after that punt. 3 plays, 25 yards. And pay dirt. 27-17, Constantini for the extra point.
And as you talked about during the series, there was a money down in there. Malvern cashed on the completion to McGuire. 3rd down conversion led to the touchdown.
Strong leg kick is good. 8:52 to play in the 3rd, 28-17, Malvern Prep.
2 seconds in the 3rd quarter, 28-17. Malvern Prep community would like to thank the Goldberry cheerleaders and
(28-17) Friars. Chris Markowitz. Malvern beating Malvern. That was one of the themes with Coach Dave Guerrera coming in, and that time, well, Malvern gets some turnovers and they take advantage.
And a few plays later, a big touchdown to McGuire. They're opening up the lead, and this is a totally different Malvern Prep team than we saw against Roman Catholic. It has not been a sloppy effort here today. They have played efficient and they have played well.
Gunther's thrown a couple of touchdown passes today. The first TD reception of the season for Keith McGuire as the football falls off the tee. And boy, what a red zone target is Keith McGuire. As you look at last season, he only had around 19 receptions, but 5 of them went for touchdowns. That's a high percentage there.
It's and pretty efficient.
Why not use that frame in the end zone? Costantini is trying to place the football correctly here, and he'll get his big leg into it.
Now, when you're 6'2", 215, and you have a pretty substantial vertical the way that Keith McGuire does, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. And not to take anything away from Drew Gunther, but he's become extremely adept at throwing that fade as well.
That was a very, very good throw back in the end zone. And again, he didn't have to. You said it. He didn't have to go up with one hand there because it was so well thrown, as the kick unfortunately goes out of bounds. And so some decent field position for LaSalle off of that. 8:52 to play in the third, 28-17 Malvern Prep. They're coming off the first score of the second half. Again, it was a 10-yard touchdown reception for Keith McGuire, his first TD catch of the season. So defensively, as you mentioned, and we talked about this a lot in the Roman Catholic game, they really haven't given up a lot, the Malvern Prep Friars. We talked about, with the exception of that 80-yard touchdown.
No, they haven't. Everything's been a short field, but I'll say this much right now. This is going to be a key series for LaSalle. If LaSalle doesn't come away with points in this series, and Malvern can then get the ball back and put points on the board, could be the beginning of the end for the Explorers.
Abdul Carter was knocked down by Nick Guerrera on that nice carry. Second down and short coming up for the Explorers.
We're at a point right now, Kevin, with an 11-point margin where you basically need to have a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and a field goal just to tie. So with 8:20 left in the third, some may think it's too early to start thinking about those types of things. I'm sure Coach Guerrera has it the forefront of his mind.
Well, they gave LaSalle forward progress for the first down. The Friars faced a nice drive by the Explorers that ended in a field goal to end the first half. It was a 5 first down drive. They've got their first down of the second half. Do the Explorers here, see if they can build some momentum. We saw Leach being locked up with the 6'6" target on the outside in single coverage. Daly's going to run, being chased from behind. We've got a possible hold with a flag and a tackle down at the 40-yard line.
I don't think that is a possible hold. I think that is a probable hold.
Just covering myself there, Mike.
Looked like for Malvern, number 90, Kevin White, the defensive lineman was literally horse collar tackled in the middle of the LaSalle College High School line of scrimmage there. And, I think that was an easy one.
Nice job by the D-line of Brown, Stinger, Turley, and White for Malvern Prep. Heard their names called a lot this season, all seniors. First down and 20. Talking about building momentum, that's not the way to do it for an offense. They've had a couple of long penalties in this game, have the Explorers. So Daly Sets back up shop in the shotgun. He's got a man in motion. It is Carter, and Carter will take the handoff, and he'll run right into a couple of blue shirts.
Carter on the carry off tackle. He's tackled by number 55.
Nice tackle by Cullen Breen and Harry Stinger for
Harry Stinger.
for LaSalle, or excuse me, for Malvern there.
Only a gain of 1. Second down and 19. The pass game, that's what we were talking about again last week, as really the single coverage has been outstanding for the Friars, and it's tough to find anywhere to throw. We'll see if that develops for LaSalle in terms of their game planning the rest of this second half. Diarra has been blanketed very well. They're looking his way now for Daly. Hayes is in coverage, and it's thrown too long. Nice job by Hayes to get inside position.
And Kevin, to your point there, one of the things that Coach Guerrera told us before the season is that while certain members of his defense may be undersized, they are very fast to the ball. There's a lot of speed. And when you're playing a team that likes to put the ball in the air the way that LaSalle does, that speed actually works to your advantage. So it's interesting here that LaSalle is actually not trying to put the ball on the ground and use some of that size to matriculate the ball down the field, but rather taking those shots deep.
Well, Mike, how's our money down update looking here on defense? LaSalle started 0 for 6 on offense.
And they are still currently there. Let's see what happens here.
3rd and 16. Daly being chased by White. Does he know he's there? I don't think so. He's going to put on a burst of speed. Loft it down the side. It's caught inside the 30-yard line, and no flag, a first down. Looks like the defender just fell.
Yeah, that's Luke Hardy there with a big catch.
All the way down to about the 25-yard line.
By number 21.
That is LaSalle's first third down conversion of the day, and it couldn't have come at a better time.
Catch of around 44 yards. We were talking about them going to the air. They did so there, and we're very fortunate. Good job of coming back to the football by Luke Hardy. From the Malvern 25 now. 7th play of the drive for the Explorers. Quarterback option. He's going to keep it himself on the zone read, and he's spun down by Keith McGuire at the line of scrimmage.
And it's interesting, a name that we called a couple of times, or a number of times in the first half, was Manny Quiles for LaSalle, and he's checking back in right now, but he's a name that we haven't mentioned on the offensive side of the ball so far in the second half. Not sure if he's a little dinged up there or just getting a little breather because he's playing both sides of the ball, but they have not gone to Quiles yet in the second half, and he was very effective in that first half.
He split out as a receiver in motion, almost the same action we saw from Carter, and Daly ran into Quiles, and that was a problem for LaSalle and led to a tackle for Harry Stinger and the Friars.
Exactly. It looked like Quiles thought he was going to get the ball on the RPO there. Daly looked like he had a moment of indecision there, whether to give it to Quiles or pull it back and take it himself. Looked like maybe he saw a hole develop in the Malvern Prep defense, but it developed late, and they basically collided, and as you said, it became easy pickings for Harry Stinger.
Luke Hardy, around 40-yard catch. It set LaSalle up in this position, but Malvern defense, they are trying to buckle down here. They forced a 3rd and 10 with 4:55 to go in the third. Again, calling signals. Daly going to zing it and intercepted. Keith McGuire, his second interception of the season, but loses the football, and LaSalle may have jumped on top of it.
As you said, second interception of the season. McGuire had an interception that he returned last week against Roman in Wildwood. This one, a clean pick and at least 10 to 15 on the return. Looked like he had nothing but green grass in front of him. Somehow lost a handle on the ball, and as you said, Kevin, it looks like LaSalle fell on that ball and will retain possession.
And that's the ruling from the officials. Mike, I didn't see it. Was it knocked out by a LaSalle player, you think, or it just fell out?
It did not appear to me to be actually knocked out. It looked like McGuire just shifted the ball in his hands, and when he did it, it came loose. It was almost like, he hit the brakes and decided to try to go back for it, and by that point in time, LaSalle had fallen on it.
So we're still +1 in terms of turnovers for Malvern as they even out there, an interception and then a fumble. Sal's going to set up on the right hash.
So two turnovers in this game on the same play.
And that interception you alluded to last week was a 25-yard return for a touchdown early in that Roman Catholic game. Abdul Carter, they went to him again. They must have seen something they liked, up to the 30-yard line, a gain of about 7.
And it looks like that they may have seen something in the Malvern Prep defense there, because it looks like when they go to the left, it's Abdul Carter. When they come to the right, it's Keelace.
Well, Keelace back in again in that pistol set. 3:54 remaining in the third. Keelace going to the right. Brown getting a hand on it, and then he's finished off. Cade Zostic came in to help from the secondary. Third down.
Zostic and Guerrera sticking some helmets in there.
9-play drive last time for LaSalle. Stopped by interception, but then they got it right back after the fumble. And that was on third down, that interception. So we've got another third down for the Malvern defense.
And certainly well within field goal range, as we've already seen today. So this is going to be a big money down for the Malvern defense.
Keelace.
Excellent penetration.
Stopped in the backfield. Good wrap up by McGuire. And you gotta like a player like McGuire. You could see he was beside himself. He was pounding the turf after that fumble loss, but he got right back into it, and he said, I'm going to make up for it. Yeah. And a great job of starting the rush there, and the rest of his line cleaned it up.
Yeah, McGuire shot that gap and basically stood the runner up at the line of scrimmage, and then big Jake Hornibrook, the enormous 6'4", 275-pound defensive tackle, came and finished him off.
Who, by the way, as we mentioned last week, and we'll mention again, is going to Stanford as an offensive tackle, but Coach Guerrero loves to get him some defensive reps as well. Daly airing it out, looking for Hardy, and it's picked off. Tyjee Leach with the interception, and he makes his way out to the 16-yard line. So there we go, +2 on the turnover battle now for Malvern.
Excellent job of Malvern with the defensive stand, but Kevin, I got to tell you, at that point in time, Tyjee may have been better off just knocking that ball down or out of bounds, because that really just kind of served as a long punt for LaSalle. I mean, it took the ball from the 33, 34-yard line to the 16-yard line. So I understand what Tyjee's doing, because if he gets the ball in his hands and he's got some open field, he can make some things happen, but the interception on fourth down there actually cost Malvern over 20 yards. Let's see if that doesn't come back to bite them.
They will start instead from the 15-yard line. It's been a while since their last offensive possession ended. That was at the 8:52 mark. LaSalle has had 2 chances to score, could not come up with anything. And they'll start with a run with the Friars. It's Keith McGuire.
Brought down by number 66.
Tackle made by Grady.
I have to wonder now if we have an injured Friar on the field. That's number 55, Harry Stinger, the two-way lineman that you've called a bunch of times today on the defensive side of the ball. It looks like he's shaken up here on the offensive side now.
Well, we mentioned the term from Coach Guerrera, the lunch pail guy. He said that just like Nick Guerrera, that Harry Stinger is a warrior, a throwback type of player, very physical. Unfortunately got tangled up there as he is down. So a chance to look at what has transpired so far in the second half. We saw a quick 3 and outs for Malvern. They punted, and then Kellen Mathias recovered a fumble on the punt return attempt. Malvern was able to take advantage of that turnover, as we've already seen a couple times this season. 3 plays, 25 yards in a minute 33, and Keith McGuire caught a 10-yard touchdown from Gunther on a fade route. And then McGuire got himself an interception, but then lost possession, a fumble. He gave it back to LaSalle. LaSalle, 5 plays later, threw another interception to Leach, and that is where we're at the moment. So a lot of turnovers early on in this second half.
Interesting, though, Kevin, because one of the things that you talked about a lot in the first half was the third down conversions. And in the first half, both teams were 1 of 6 on third down conversion. LaSalle was 1 of 6. Malvern Prep was 1 of 5. In the second half, both teams 1 for 2 on third down.
Stinger is going to be walking off the field. He doesn't need any help to do so, so that might be a good sign. We'll get back underway with 2:05 to play in the third and a 28-17 Malvern Prep lead. This is a team that has been blessed in terms of injuries. They had Quincy Watson, one of the only players out this week. It was nice to see him in pads, but did not have the helmet.
Have to imagine he's close, though.
That's what Coach said. He said he would definitely miss the first game, maybe the second, and hopefully he's back for McDonough, as we've got a stoppage, a flag at the snap.
It's an excellent job there by Gunther with the hard count. Now, did he cause one of his own men to move?
He did. The
He
false
did.
start is the call. We were talking a lot about Malvern's discipline and how they have not committed many penalties this season. That's a tough one right there. So that second down try will move from 5 back a little farther toward the shadow of the end zone.
After the flag, 2nd and 10.
Now, it's interesting, too, because when you're in a huddle, a lot of times the quarterback will tell the offensive line, I'm going hard count, don't move. And it looked like Gunther did a great job there with the hard count. He didn't move his head, but we could hear up in the booth the change of voice inflection there caused a lot of movement up front. I didn't see a Malvern offensive lineman jump there.
Calling signals again. Keith McGuire shakes and bakes. Across the first down marker and then some. Almost broke that loose out to the 29 and a first down.
Yeah, and that was number 8, Rob Tatum for LaSalle, the defensive back over there on the far side who wrapped and tackled McGuire, or else McGuire may very well have been off to the races.
He had 10 carries for 29 yards, almost a fullback type role last week, just 2.9 yards a carry, good patient runs, but he's got some speed too, don't forget that. And he almost broke one loose.
Oh, certainly a different type of track that they're on today as well.
Oh yeah, they're not running in the mud, of course. As Tinson with the reception, his first reception of the season, breaks the tackle and out to around the 40-yard line.
You know what? Great to see Tyler Tinson redeem himself there. There was a play in the first half there where Tinson had the ball go through his hands that caused an interception for Gunther. Gunther comes back to him. Tinson makes the play. And you see when Tinson came back to the huddle, Gunther was very quick to give him 5 and a slap to the top of the head, saying, "Attaboy, way to get it back for me."
2nd and 4. Gunther's really spread the ball around today. Leach has caught one. Also Tinson. We've seen White involved. Iacone as well. This time a run up the middle. Not enough for the first down. We'll bring up another 3rd down, and it's Keith McGuire again. We've seen that a lot from Malvern. They like to put that one running back in and let them have a series, basically. Did that with Guerrera and McGuire last week. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
Don't be surprised if they come back to that play later on with Gunther keeping it. Gunther took off around that right end there, and not one LaSalle defender went with him.
Out of the spread again, showing blitz. They will come. Will LaSalle? The run is close to a first down. Keith McGuire churning. They may measure this one.
It's going to be real close. See what the officials say here. They're already moving the chains on the far side, but I didn't see an official signal for. Oh, there we go. There's the signal from the referee.
Yeah, the chain gang was pretty confident. They had a better view than any of us.
I thought the chain gang was jumping the gun there. We're inside of 10 seconds to go here in the third now.
Play number 6 on the drive is upcoming. 2 first downs to go, and Malvern's going to walk off the field and set things up, leading 28-17 after 3 quarters of play on SFBN. Back for the 4th quarter in just a moment.
Welcome back to the Pellegrini Athletic Complex. Kevin Fodinger alongside Mike Mataraki, the third member of the broadcast team, is Chris Markowitz. Not only is it the game of the week for the Eagles Showdown competition, Chris, but we've got a little bit of fanfare in the stands as well.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Down by the student section today is Jersey Day. A lot of the students here in attendance today wearing football, basketball, and baseball jerseys. As we're just about ready to start the fourth quarter, I'll send it back up to you, Kev.
All right, a first down for Malvern. Drew Gunther's pass is tipped and incomplete. Good tip at the line by Paul Jennings.
Ryan McGuire.
They're looking for McGuire on that play. Brings up second down, 7th play of the drive. That started at the 2:17 mark of the third quarter.
There is a Kevin Durant Seattle Supersonics jersey in the jersey section over here, Kevin, and I got to tell you, that might be my winner for the day.
Any jersey you can think of is there. There's a Jackie Moon jersey, a couple Eagles jerseys. Other throwbacks that you would think of as Gunther is chased down back by the 25-yard line. Abdul Carter, one of the players in the area.
I'm all about the Jackie Moon jersey there too.
Loss of 2.
See that Tracy McGrady jersey over there, an old school Toronto Raptors. Yeah, they're doing it right over there for sure.
I also see a lot of jerseys out on the field, Mike, where it's 3rd and 12. And we'll see how the Malvern offense is able to handle this, as both offenses have struggled on 3rd down today. Trips to the left. He's going that way as Gunther. Nice job by White, but he has stood up and won't get past the 35.
And stood up he was. Ryan Savage, defensive lineman, caught him as he was coming back across the grain, and loss of 2 for Lonnie on that one.
Well, Trainer is really one of the quote-unquote stars, young stars as a junior of this team, but I got to say Savage is really impressed today, not only with his ability to make those stops, but his pressure into the backfield.
Number 5, Daly.
Constantini will punt. Daly is back to receive, and this is the best punt of the day by Constantini, or at least one of them. Back to the 15 is Daly, though, and he's going to start running the other way, and he is driven down to the turf shy of the 30-yard line. John Gordon, a 6'3 junior from Broomall, making the tackle.
I'll tell you what, you said it, best punt of the day, but Constantini, for a second there, I thought he had outkicked his coverage. The receiver, or the returner, I should say, Daly, got back there, got under it, and had at least 12 to 14 yards on the return before he was even touched by a Malvern defender. Interesting, though, that Coach Steinmetz would continue to use Daly back as a punt and kickoff returner, given that he started at quarterback today.
Well, that ended an 8-play, about 30-yard drive for the Malvern offense. Just couldn't get anything together. Could not convert that long 3rd down they had, and so now LaSalle with the football. It's been a while since they've been able to score. Their last points coming at the end of the half. They won't do it that way. DeVos was stopped after a gain of maybe 1 on the far side.
Nicholas Guerrero with the tackle. Gain of 1.
Guerrero, one of the players credited with the stop. And we've talked about his wrestling prowess before. He was runner-up at the National Prep Wrestling Tournament that was held at Lehigh in February. The Malvern team overall had 5 state champs. It's good to have one of those wrestler players as the hard-nosed running back type linebacker guy.
Running back, linebacker, wrestler. He's drawing interest from Westchester and other Division II programs for football. Possible D1 wrestler.
Boy, someone heard some footsteps from Leach, and Diarra dropping that one.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Diarra was open, but he heard Taiji Leach coming.
And you mentioned, again, Westchester coach Dave Guerrero said that Nick, for him, Westchester would be a good place, but like Drew Gunther, who is fielding multiple offers from some high-profile schools, they're going to let the season do the talking. Some of the players chose to commit early, and that would help take the stress off of this season, and others, they say, well, we still have a shot to maybe earn some higher accolades from bigger schools, bigger offers, and they're going to just ball out, quote-unquote, this season.
No question about it. I touch on that after this play, Kevin.
Daly hopping around. See if he gets loose, being chased. He's going to have to throw. He does. Throws it up and incomplete. Nearly caught. We've got a flag. Maybe a late hit. Ryan Iacone was coming in ill humor.
It is a personal foul, and roughing the passer, I believe, is the call.
And Daly lofted that one over Mitchell Zingani, looking for the jump ball type of play for his intended receiver. Pass fell incomplete, but as you mentioned, looks like we're going to have a personal foul here on Malvern Prep.
There was a flag on the play.
It's our first third down conversion by penalty of the day today.
Roughing the passer.
We'll take them any way you can get them on the field for both teams because
Right.
they've been few and far between on offense, those third down conversions.
Right, and going back to your earlier point, Kevin, some of the Malvern Prep players that have committed to schools like Clemson, Stanford, Delaware, Lehigh, Lafayette, larger Division I schools, whereas some of the guys who are maybe lower Division I, Division II, so we have a big run here by LaSalle.
I'm just surprised.
Like you said, let the season play out for themselves.
I'm just surprised on that run, which is the second straight first down. Keelace was able to stay on his feet because I thought he was down after a 5-yard gain, but he took it for 10.
Now, he is a tough runner for sure.
Into Malvern territory. The first time in a long time. I do not believe LaSalle has been in the Malvern territory in this half. We'll see if they take advantage as Daly is going to air it out. Looking for Diarra, and he has the reception. Hayes in coverage down to the 10-yard line. Diarra's first long reception since opening the game with an 80-yard touchdown down that right side.
And I really don't know that there's much more that James Hayes could have done about that. I mean, he had great position on Diarra, but when you're 6'6", and 190 to 200 pounds with that kind of vertical, Kevin, you just go up and you take what's yours. And he did.
35-yard reception, 3 straight first downs for LaSalle, who started at their own 28 with 10:32 to go in this quarter. And it's going to be kept by Daly, who was slung down by Guerrera and company outside the 5-yard line on the keeper.
Michael Hussey on the tackle.
Michael Hussey as well in there, the senior linebacker, 6'1", 205 out of Media. Again, another one of those players that Coach Guerrera mentioned to us preseason as other guys who stood out.
He's just got a tough name. Mike Hussey. Just sounds tough.
Second down and goal to go from the 6. One receiver near side, it's Luke Hardy, who had a 42-yard reception earlier in this half. And outside the pocket is Daly. Daly jump pass, and he's going to throw it away this time, and that was definitely past the line of scrimmage, so no intentional grounding flag there, setting up third down.
I was very surprised that they didn't just run a fade to Diarra there and see if they couldn't have him jump over James Hayes again. He had Hayes out there one-on-one, and it looked like it was the matchup that LaSalle wanted, but Daly didn't put the ball in the air.
7th play of the drive upcoming. That has taken almost 3 minutes off the clock for LaSalle, trailing 28-17. LaSalle has led twice in this ball game at the very beginning, and they were also up 14-13 in the second quarter. Looking for their first points of the second half. 2 receivers near side. It's Keelace in the slot. Looking for that fade right side, but now coming to come back left, being chased is Daly. Daly going to juke backwards. He's going to throw off his back foot, and it's picked off and then dropped. They're going to say, will they say interception? Yes, they will. It's James Hayes.
If that's intercepted,
wow.
is it an interception and a fumble recovered by LaSalle?
The officials are going to talk it
Is
over.
it incomplete? Or is it interception recovered, or interception Malvern out of bounds, ball is Malvern's ball? 3 ways this could go, Kevin.
Well, we do know part of the way that it's going to be Malvern football.
Looks like what happened on that play was James Hayes made the interception. Momentum carried him out of bounds, and he must have stepped out of bounds before the ball came out.
Otherwise, that was a weird play.
The fumble actually landed in bounds and was fallen on by
a LaSalle player.
Yes. So, strange turn of events there, but for the Malvern Prep crowd, they'll certainly take it. That's a big defensive stop by the Friars.
Malvern's third interception today, the second of the season for James Hayes, who does have a fumble recovery in this game as well.
And he may be in line for our defensive player of the game.
So after all that, Malvern will start from the 6. I imagine that was the right call. Again, we did not have a good angle from our perspective. And it's good that Malvern has the ball back, of course, as Keith McGuire will get the carry to start things off here on first down. A little short gain into the teeth of the LaSalle defense.
And at this point, with the clock at 7:33 and running,
well, it looks like McGuire is down at the moment.
We'll hold that thought then.
Well, in terms of defensive tenacity, you got to credit Malvern today for their +2 in terms of turnover margin. You got those 3 interceptions, and then you've got those couple of fumble recoveries, one which led to a score in this half by Matthias. He recovered a muffed or bobbled punt.
Yeah, and certainly we talked in our open, Kevin, about how LaSalle was playing some extremely, extremely tough competition. They started the season 0-2, and now we're kind of getting a picture as to why, like you had mentioned earlier, that they've lost a lot of experienced seniors. You have a lot of underclassmen handling the ball right now. Mistakes, interceptions, fumbles, things of that nature. And we now are starting to see why, even though they are a very tough team, that they started out 0-2 against that level of competition. When you make those kind of mistakes against teams like Imhotep and North Penn, those teams are going to cash in on it.
And it doesn't help that there are some injuries that are forcing changes positionally, as Daly had been forced to quarterback, and he's normally that wide receiver running guy. And so you move some guys around, and not only do you have young players, but you have players in positions maybe they're not used to.
No question about it.
So thankfully McGuire was able to get off the field.
Yeah, good to see him come off on mostly his own power.
Limping along the sideline, talking to a couple of teammates, heading toward the tent on the Malvern sideline. So it's 2nd down and 7 for his offense. It's Guerrera rumbling down, and he's knocked to the turf by Frank Joyce, the 5'9" senior defensive back.
Kevin, what I was going to mention with before McGuire went down there was the clock at that point had been running at about 7.5 minutes. We're now just a tick under 7 minutes. The big thing here is you want to convert this 3rd down here and just keep that clock running. At this point, I'm sure Coach Guerrera is going to be intent to just grind this thing out, and if they could just run right up the field and run that remaining 6:44 out, sure they'll go home with the victory very happy.
And we'll hand it off on the draw play to Guerrera. Guerrera close, and the linesman looks like he's going to give it to him. Got 1 more yard than he needed. 1st down for Malvern, and they converted. And again, they had not been very good on 3rd down, but they're starting to put things together from that perspective.
3 of 5 on 3rd down in the second half after a pretty dismal 1 for 5 in the first half.
6:20 to go in the 4th quarter, 28-17 Malvern Prep. The Friars outscoring the Explorers 7-0 in this second half. Guerrera again will get the handoff, bounces it outside left tackle. The man who had 3 touchdowns last week has yet another 1st down for the Friars.
Picks up another Friar 1st down.
And 2 first downs, and just like that, we are right up on the 6-minute mark.
And we've done a lot of talking about a guy like Quincy Watson, who hasn't played yet this season. You insert his quote-unquote thunder and lightning type combo in there with guys like Nick Guerrera, who can churn for yards, and Keith McGuire, and you've got something dangerous to replace a guy like O'Shawn Allison.
No question about it.
And that pass was thrown before White was even looking.
And that then helps with other aspects of the game, because when he's back, he becomes the lightning. Nick Guerrera is the thunder. You can then shift McGuire outside where he's much more comfortable in that sort of tight end, split end slot role where he's been extremely effective and very dangerous. It just helps everything come together exactly the way they want it.
And Watson's not worried about the change. He said he's played running back his whole life, played a lot when he was younger, and he's confident with the offensive line, the size and the experience that Malvern has to run behind it as the high snap was controlled. Now Guerrero is going to turn on the Jets and bounce for another 1st down. How about it?
He's just grinding away now. I mean,
And his run was good for another.
Guerrera's a hungry dog right now, and he's going to eat because that's about 26 yards on the last 3 carries.
Is that what the kids are saying these days, Mike?
That's what they're saying.
We'll start from the 40-yard line, will the Friars. 3 first downs, all churned out by Nick Guerrera on 10-plus yard runs. Now 5:13 to go. A team that has made its living on those short-type drives, now able to churn things out. Drive at least 2 minutes now. Off the left side, back to the line of scrimmage. Nick Guerrera again. So finally, he does not get a first down on a run. And tackle made by Joyce and company. So 2nd down and 10. Gunther going to be handing it off a little bit, we imagine, here down the stretch, but he has had another decent game in terms of throwing the football. Did have that interception, but he's thrown a couple of touchdowns.
And you see here, Kevin, clearly Malvern is in no hurry to get up to the line of scrimmage and get this play off.
4:28 to go in the quarter. Malvern trying to win their 2nd straight game to open the season. Last year they started 1-4 on their way to their 2nd straight league title. And it's Guerrera again continuing to move the clock, setting up 3rd down.
I think they found something with Guerrera around that left end.
3rd and 7.
And we'll get some news on McGuire in just a moment from our Chris Markowitz on the sidelines after this 3rd down play. Fortunately, we haven't seen any serious injuries yet. Malvern Prep. Another key 3rd down. And Mike mentioned it, 3 of 5 in the second half on 3rd down for Malvern. They tried to sneak in a Guerrero run, but Carter was all over it. That brings up 4th down out to the 46. And we'll go to Chris, who has some news as we saw Keith McGuire come over to the sideline. Chris?
Thanks, Kevin. Keith McGuire came out of the game with what was a cramp in his right calf. He's questionable to return, but he's making his way to the sideline his own power. Looks like he's going to be back in this one, Kevin.
And that is good news, as everyone was silent here. You know what Keith McGuire means to this Malvern Prep squad.
So, Kevin, let me ask you here, strategically, 4th and 4, approaching midfield, 3:33 left in the ball game. If you're Coach Guerrera, do you go for it here?
Because who do you think I am, Doug Peterson or Josh McDaniels?
A first down essentially puts the game away for you. If you punt the ball away, there is still enough time for a quick strike offense like LaSalle to get points on the board.
That's true, and I will say first, my opinion doesn't matter here, and I'm not a football coach, but I would trust the defense. The way the defense has been playing for Malvern today, I'd have confidence in that. They've given up 2 long passes, yes, to Diarra, but otherwise, I think they've done a good job.
And for the record, I agree.
You're just playing little devil's advocate.
And so does Coach Guerrera.
As Constantini will get a boot under it. This one a little bit more hang time than the last one. It'll get a nice roll. It'll hit the LaSalle player. Jumping on top of it is Matthias. And it looks like it's going to be Friar football. It will. And the second big play of the game by Kellen Matthias, who set up a touchdown in the 3rd quarter by recovering a bobbled punt. And there he is again for the Friars. That's a sophomore, by the way.
It is, and we have to give some credit here to Christian Bachrath, the sophomore, the junior tight end linebacker out of Collegeville. When that ball bounced and it bounced up into Daly fumbled it. Before Daly could even get a chance to fall on the ball, Bachrath came in and wiped out Daly, took him out of the play, which then allowed Matthias to just slide right in there, fall on the ball, and now Malvern Prep 10 yards from pay dirt and putting this thing away.
Turns out kicking it was a pretty good decision, huh?
Well, you know, you, me, Coach, we know what we're doing.
I understand. 3:19 to go in the 4th quarter. 28-17 Friars, and a chance to put a stamp on what could be a victory here. And Lonnie White will cash it in from 11 yards out. Nice pass from Drew Gunther, and there you go. One play.
Ball game.
3:16 left. Lonnie White's got his first touchdown of the season for the Friars.
And that was a bullet from Drew Gunther right on the numbers.
Coach Dave Guerrero, he told us that he's an old school guy in terms of playing those upperclassmen. That's what he wants to do. And so we were talking about a guy last week like D'Angelo Stocker out of Coatesville, talented freshman. To be a freshman and make this team, to be a young player and see playing time, you've got to really show something in practice. And a guy like Matthias on special teams doing that out of Boyertown, that will certainly earn him some high praises from the coaching staff. And of course there's Lonnie White too, the sophomore who just scored as the extra point goes through from Costantini.
No, you're absolutely right, Kevin. And to that point, I mean, that tends to be the way it is at most schools at this level, where you're going to see mostly juniors and seniors in your starting lineup. But when you do have an underclassman that is gifted and they show it on the practice field, in the classroom, and just time after time after time, as coaches watch film of practice or coaches watch practice from, a different vantage point, and they just see the same guys showing up play after play after play, and they're underclassmen. At that point, it becomes undeniable that they need to get on the field. And sometimes it does come at the expense of an upperclassman, but it creates competition amongst the roster, and competition amongst the roster creates a competitive team on the field.
Well, the Friars came into this game +1 in turnover margin on a young season. They're now +4. 3 interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries. Very impressive day for the Malvern Prep defense. Limiting LaSalle to 17 points all in the first half. Costantini set to kick it away. So, Mike, in terms of player of the game type accolades, is there anybody that you're thinking about? It's been such a well-played game, a good team game by this squad. It's tough to pick one name.
It is tough to pick one name. I mean, it could be Gunther, could be Guerrera, could be McGuire.
Could be Matthias, maybe?
Could be Matthias. Could be Lonnie White. I mean, could be any number of guys on that Malvern side that are deserving.
Keelace was driven to the line. Jake Brownlee in the area, the sophomore out of Glenmore, on the kick coverage.
James Hayes is another name that we've called quite a bit. He's also a candidate as well.
Well, I'm just going to step out of the hard decision and give that decision to you then when it comes time. 35-17 now, Malvern. 3:07 to go, so the game not over yet. You mentioned some quick strike capabilities, and a guy like Diarra has had an 80-yard catch and a 40-yard catch. Drew Gunther, of course. Did you mention Drew Gunther's name?
We mentioned him, and I think with
a little bit, I think.
With multiple touchdown passes, that may be the direction I'm leaning.
Of course, always go with the quarterback, right? Daly's going to swing it out right side. Huge hit by Taji Leach.
Can I change my mind?
Leach does have an interception today, and what a hard hitter he is. That is tonight's All-American Sporting Goods hard hit of the game. For all your sporting goods needs, you can shop at American Sporting Goods. They're located at the corner of Cotman and Tabor. So thanks to them for bringing that hard hit of the game. I mean, a lot of hard hits that we could pick, but Taji Leach really delivering the blow there. 2nd down and 10. That's certainly going to help the confidence of the defense in terms of what they've been able to do on the turnovers. Daly passes tipped at the line. He catches it back and to try to make a play of it. And he's going to just run out of bounds. Couldn't go anywhere else. That pass tipped by Joseph Carpenter, the senior out of Springfield.
So that's Daly to Daly for a loss of 8.
You enjoyed that, didn't you?
I did, very much so. I was waiting to see if he was actually going to attempt to throw it again, only to see if the referee would throw a flag or not.
He looked like he wanted to be honest.
He did, absolutely.
And this is a guy who's just coming in to play quarterback after the injuries at that position.
Hence my curiosity, my friend.
Money down again. We're just going to keep saying money down, and if you don't know what it means, watch some more Malvern Prep football. 3rd down, that's what the staff has said. It's where the players get paid, as they say. Obviously not literally, but we've seen it in this game. We've seen what money down means. You get that turnover, you get that stop on 3rd down, and it leads to some scores on offense, and that's exactly what has happened this afternoon.
Yeah, and this late in the game with a 3rd and 18, it's now turned into a 3rd and 23.
LaSalle has given them a game. Unfortunately, it looks like they may drop, for them at least, it may drop them to 0-3 on the season, but they have hung with tough competition, as you mentioned. They've got the Haverford School coming up before they get into some more league play. As the handoff is read in the backfield, Keith McGuire finishing things off after the wrap-up tackle.
And I'll tell you, it would have been real easy for Keith McGuire after the cramping issue to take the rest of the afternoon off. He doesn't do that and finishes off that drive with an exclamation point.
Nicholas Annie was credited with a stop as well out of media. A chance to get some of these second stringers in the game for Coach Dave Guerrero. Lonnie White is standing in LaSalle territory here inside midfield. It's a very short punt, going to roll toward White, and he will back away from it. It'll be down at midfield with 2:11 to play.
45-yard punt, no return.
And for LaSalle, we should mention that they've got a famous name in terms of local high school football going into their Hall of Athletics. Drew Gordon, one of the winningest coaches in the history of Philadelphia high school football. He retired in 2015. An overall record of 91-26. His win percentage at the time was ranked 8th among all Philadelphia high school football coaches, and that will be happening for homecoming coming up for them next week. Again, Gordon going into their Hall of Fame over at LaSalle, so congratulations to him.
And for LaSalle, as you mentioned, they do have Haverford at home next week. They then have a week off before they face what will be a veritable gauntlet in the Philadelphia Catholic League at St. Joe's Prep, at Father Judge, at Archbishop Ryan, and then home games to finish out the season against perennial power Archbishop Wood and Roman Catholic. Doesn't get much easier for the Explorers.
Stocker got the carry there. D'Angelo Stocker had 2 carries for -4 last week, the freshman out of Coatesville. As Coach Guerrero giving the second stringers a chance, give his guys a rest and also avoid any extra possible injuries. As we have seen John Boyle come in. We saw him come in the Roman game, carried it twice and actually had a touchdown.
And Kevin, on the Malvern side, we talked a little bit about the upcoming matchups at McDonough, Berks Catholic, Petty. Then they go to Penn Charter, Episcopal, Haverford, Germantown Academy, and SCH Academy. So certainly a very competitive schedule for Malvern as well.
That was bobbled on the snap by Boyle and recovered. LaSalle, the turnover, will give it back to the Explorers with 1:15 to play.
And that's the reason that you get some of the underclassmen and second stringers into the game at this time, so that if they do have to play meaningful minutes, if you will, things like that don't happen.
So 1 interception and 2 fumbles lost. Those are the turnovers for the Malvern Prep offense. 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles recovered for the Malvern defense. .1:15 on the clock. 35-17 Malvern Prep. Is there enough time? It's going to have to be real quick on the strikes for the LaSalle College High School Explorers. They have a little bit of a different package to the Explorers with a new quarterback who is read very well. That was to the 37-yard line. The Wildcat there. Has LaSalle made some changes? Looks like LaSalle may have made some changes as well and taken Daly out of the game. They have, as Breen made that stop for Malvern. Final 50 seconds. So a chance for Steinmetz to get some players in as well. Oh, nice run on the play outside. Left tackle into the 15-yard line and driven out of bounds by Cooper Frankenheimer, the sophomore from Malvern.
And that's Jalen Hanton on the carry, a 5'9", 170-pound sophomore running back, and showed some nice burst getting around the corner there, Kevin.
39 seconds to go in the game. Give a chance for these backups to possibly get a touchdown against a tough Malvern defense. First down and 10. To the right side. Looking end zone. No, he won't be able to throw it now, and he'll just skate out of bounds after a gain of about 2. And he was ushered out on the play by Christian Backrath, the junior from Collegeville.
And Kevin, I'm not sure. It looks like, I can't tell with the way the jersey number is if that's an 18 or a 19. We don't have a 19 on our roster for LaSalle.
Yes, that's why I was eerily silent.
18 is Robert King, but that quarterback looks like he's much taller than 5'7", so I'm going to lean towards Byron Hopkins, a freshman quarterback who's on our roster as number 20.
And we're on the third string now as the starting quarterback, by the way, a sack in the backfield by Colin Breen. We've called his name a couple times over the last few seconds. 6'3", 190 out of Chester Springs into the final 20 seconds of the game.
Heck of a game by Breen as well. Have to imagine this is probably the last play of the game, Kevin.
3rd and 17.
3rd down and 17. Money down being yelled out from the stands. Long throw toward the end zone and complete. Touchdown for LaSalle as time expires. And that is complete to Timothy Barrett, the sophomore tight end. It won't matter, though. Malvern's still going to win this ball game. 0's on the clock.
Credit to LaSalle for fighting until the very end, though, and you have to hope that for LaSalle's program, for their morale, if you will, that the quote-unquote buzzer beater at the end there gives them a little something to build on going forward.
The Friars 2-0 to start this season, so already their goal of trying to start strong, it's still alive as they win at 35-23. And Mike, I will turn it over to you for the Stoll Agency play of the game. A lot of solid plays, like we said last week against Roman. If you had to pick one play, what was your play of the game today?
I think it has to be the 50-yard pass in the first half from Drew Gunther to
Tajee Leach.
Tajee Leach, thank you. Why am I blanking on number
fine.
7?
I just have it written here, so I cheated, but
that's okay. But I think that really was the turning point for Malvern Prep, where they finally just took hold of the game and said, you know what, we may have gotten a little bit of a sneak attack that first play from scrimmage and a little bit of a rough first quarter, but this is our home turf, our game, and we're going to take it.
That's brought to you by Stoll Bonds and Insurance, who specialize in the construction business industry. For all your bonding and construction insurance needs, go to stollagency.com. And this broadcast on SFBN brought to you by Granite Run Buick GMC. We'll have our player of the game coming up in just a moment. Chris Markowitz is standing by. I don't want to give it away. We may have alluded to it earlier, so we'll get that interview in just a few moments. Standout star the defense as well. 3 interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries for the Malvern defense. A great job of getting their team out of some tough situations. Really, if you look at the starters, they only held them to 17 points in the first half, and that was it. Didn't score the entire second half. So good adjustments, once again, like last week, from Coach Guerrera and his staff.
Absolutely, and there are some things that they're going to want to clean up defensively. I mean, we saw a Ryan McGuire interception with Keith McGuire fumble or interception, fumbled it back immediately. We had Tajee Leach with an interception on a 4th down when knocking the ball away or knocking the ball out of bounds would have given Malvern Prep an additional 25 yards of field position. We saw a play down at the far end of the field where James Hayes had an interception and fumbled it as he was stepping out of bounds, and luckily the officials called it in favor of Malvern Prep. Some sloppy ball handling early in the game. So there's definitely things that Coach Guerrera is going to tell these guys that, hey, you know, we may have had a 12-point victory on the scoreboard, but guys, we can't be complacent here. There are some things that we need to work on. We need to work on ball security. We need to work on Malvern not beating Malvern, as you and I have talked about multiple times, and doing the little things that are going to take them deeper and deeper into this tough schedule.
Well, Coach Guerrero told us before the game, very sloppy start for Roman Catholic. That's what he told us, and that's what the play, I guess, may have shown us. And then today they gave up an 80-yard touchdown on the first play and then bobbled the punt and fumbled that and gave it away. So, again, early issues. But if you're looking at things to clean up, and we'll finish our Nick Saban-type critical coaching conversation, but those would be it. Now, moving forward, things that you liked in terms of the win, 3 of 5 at least, right? I'm not sure what the numbers were to finish the game, but the 3rd downs on offense were not great in terms of the numbers, but the second half definitely improved. Drew Gunther and company did a very good job on 3rd down.
1 of 5 in the first half, 3 of 6 in the second half. So the third down conversion percentage goes up dramatically in the second half. Gunther really settled in nicely, and they certainly found some offense with Nick Guerrera running around the left side of the line there. The offensive line, I thought in the second half, did an outstanding job of keeping Gunther clean in the pocket and giving Guerrera a ton of running room.
So the first play of the game was an 80-yard touchdown pass from Daly to Diarra to make it 7-0, and this was in the first quarter. Keith McGuire had a 1-yard touchdown run at the 6:43 mark to tie things up at 7 after a 7-play, 67-yard drive. Then the pass that you were alluding to, Mike, Taji Leach, a 56-yard touchdown reception from Gunther. Kick was not good. That was 13-7 after the first quarter. Malvern was in the lead. Credit LaSalle, they came back. Keelace, an 8-yard touchdown run after a 2-play drive to make it 14-13 after the extra point. Then an interception by LaSalle, a fumble recovery by Hayes, and Malvern once again capitalizing off a turnover. Iacone, a 52-yard touchdown reception, and that made it 21-14. And then Gandolfo, a 42-yard field goal at the end of the half to make it 21-17. And then to recap the second half, scoring real quick, Malvern's first offensive possession came by way of another turnover. Matthias, a fumble recovery, capped off by a 10-yard Keith McGuire touchdown catch in the back of the end zone. Taji Leach had an interception, as did McGuire, in 3 interceptions in all today for Malvern Prep. And then the Friars able to score later on another turnover by Matthias. It was an 11-yard pass, from Gunther to White, and that made it 35-17. And then LaSalle scored to end the game at all zeros with the second stringers in 35-23. Now we'll go to Chris Markowitz with our player of the game.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm with Drew Gunther. Drew, 6 turnovers were forced by your defense and special teams. What does that allow for you on offense to do, knowing that you've got a defense that can get the ball back to you at any time?
We definitely talk a lot about complementary play, and so when they get the ball back, those 6 turnovers are huge. Big momentum boosters, and carries right onto offense and go drive down the field and score.
It was a 1-4 start for you guys last year in non-conference play, but this year 2-0. How big is that for you guys to get off to a 2-0 start in non-conference play?
You know, definitely last year motivated us, all the returning seniors. Big theme between us was unfinished business, and we played a lot of the teams we played last year. And you know, starting with LaSalle, this is our unfinished business, and now next week you go to McDonough, continue that trend.
Drew, congrats on the win. Good luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Back to you guys, Kevin.
Thanks, Chris. 3 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries, so 6 turnovers in all, forced by the Malvern defense, and Gunther had himself one heck of a game as well. 35-23, the final score. Any final thoughts heading into next week?
Well, the trip to McDonough is going to be a difficult one. McDonough beat Malvern pretty handily, 27-9 last year. They're always tough. If Malvern can take the momentum that they've built from their 2-0 start, put it on the highway down to Maryland, they could come back with a W.
Well, thanks, Mike. Down to Owings Mills, Maryland. Go the Friars next on the 14th at McDonough. 7 o'clock, we'll have the call for you on SFBN. For our director, Steve Silvestro, our sideline reporter, Chris Markowitz, and my broadcast partner today, Mike Mataraki, I'm Kevin Fodinger saying so long and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Go Malvern.